Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from Hy-Vee, it's Andrea, our dietitian for Fact TV. We love it. Andrea, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful because it's Dairy Month, and we're going to be talking about everything dairy on this segment, and those of you who can't tolerate the dairy, we'll even go into that. Very excited. But let's dive in here, and I think I know the answer to this question, gallon. But how much milk do I need to drink as an adult?
Yes, very good question, because that changes quite a bit. So when we were kids, we could, we were chugging gallons of milk, glass of milk at every meal with yogurt and cheese. As adults, we don't need as much. The good news is dairy products are very efficient. They're very nutrient dense, so we don't need a whole lot of amount to get the nutrition that we need. So we're talking varying by the person, 2 to 3 cups of milk or milk equivalent. So equivalent, for instance, is 1.5 ounces of cheese, just to give you an example, is about a 1/2 cup equivalent of milk. And that's based off the nutrition that each food provides.
I don't know if I'm happy with that answer. That's not.
I know.
Tell that to the kids who seem to just drink milk like it's water, which I just can't believe. But as far as you don't seem to tolerate milk as well as kids do. As you get older, does the body change? It can be harder to process the dairy.
Yeah, it kind of does. So lactose intolerance is the #1 food intolerance for adults, actually. And so it's very, very common. And what that means is throughout time, we either lose the enzyme, basically, which is called lactase, that breaks down the sugar lactose. So, so it's a very common occurrence as we simply age, but it can also be sloughed off, if we have an illness or if we get sick or something like that. So in general, it's very common for adults to not tolerate specifically the sugar in dairy. So lactose intolerance isn't an allergy. They're not allergic to dairy, so that's the good news. And it's a little bit easier to manage. The intolerance is a little easier to manage.
And if we're looking at milk, maybe you don't care for milk. Maybe you like other dairy products. Can you just eat the yogurt and cheese and still get what you need out of the dairy category?
Yep, you sure can. So the way that the dairy group works is the nutrition comes from milk or foods made with milk. So that's where you can consume and get the nutrition by either drinking milk, fluid milk, eating cheese, or eating yogurt. So for instance, those that are lactose intolerant, they may not tolerate fluid milk, but the products that are made with milk don't have as much lactose. So for instance, cheese, almost all of the lactose is removed when we process cheese. And so most people that are lactose intolerant can eat cheese without a problem, especially hard cheeses, because there's practically no lactose left in hard cheeses. And then you have the whole other category of cultured milk. So yogurt, kefir, the culturing process actually eats up the lactose or that sugar. And so our body doesn't have to digest it. So even those that are lactose intolerant and those that don't prefer to drink milk may get their nutrition from yogurt or kefir or the cheese. And that's, a fine amount to consume without having to drink the actual fluid milk.
Well, I can contest to this exactly because my father-in-law can't tolerate milk, but boy, does that guy eat cheese. And, there's no problem there. So it definitely is good to know, but definitely it works. I like this point of drinking chocolate milk after exercising. How do those two even pass?
Right. How does that make sense? Yes. So actually, milk, and cow's milk specifically, is really packed with nutrition. There's 9 essential nutrients that we can only get through food. And with that, there's protein in milk. It's a very good source of protein. There's natural carbohydrates, so that natural sugar has nutrition attached to it. And then there's sodium and potassium in milk, and those are two electrolytes. So when we exercise or sweat, we need to replenish the electrolytes. We need to take in protein to rebuild our muscles, and then we need to replenish our carbohydrate. So milk has all of those included. So that's why you'll hear it so much. And chocolate milk specifically, if you do a hard workout, you really deplete your body of carbohydrates, and the sugars that are in chocolate milk bring you back really quickly. So it's just kind of a well-rounded response after a workout. Maybe not so much if you just, go out and walk your dog casually, but if you're sweating or have, you play a game of tennis, or, you have a pretty, hard workout, it is a good, very easy replenishment. You don't need a specific sports drink or powders or anything like that.
I don't know if I could tolerate it, to be honest. I don't know if it would work for me or not. So
Yeah.
Personally, but hey, I think it's a great alternative. I'd love to see instead of a electronic drink, just a big glass of chocolate milk.
Yeah, it's a great option for kids, when they play hard, or so they don't have, they don't have to do supplements or, that kind of thing. They can have a glass of milk, and it's a good replenishment.
Yeah, and I think it's easy for any kid really to give them chocolate milk.
Right.
They'll be very, very happy about that.
Right.
All right, let's transition now into, so maybe you do have that intolerance to milk. It's just causing you the problems. We're seeing a lot of development in the plant-based milk. Tell me a little bit about this.
Sure. So plant-based milk, it's a very interesting category because it's really booming. I mean, you'll see a milk made out of anything, these days. And so, so plant-based milks have nothing to do with cows. So I'll lay that out there. They are completely lactose free. Okay. But with that, they really do pale in comparison to the nutrition that's in cow's milk or in dairy food. So that's one thing that I like people to know. It's not bad to drink them. It's just, I don't want people to think they're getting the same nutrition from a plant-based milk that they are from dairy milk, because it's not the same. Mainly the protein is completely different. The calcium is usually added in if it doesn't exist naturally. And then there's other nutrients that might not come along with whatever plant, whether it be oat, rice, almond, whatever it is being used to make that milk. So it's a very important distinction to make. In fact, there's a labeling situation going on very similar to juice labeling laws a few years ago, where if you can recall, when you go to the store, you'll see either 100% juice or juice beverage or juice drink. They're doing a similar kind of thing with milk. And what that is, it's to protect the consumer. So they know if something says milk beverage, that it's not real milk. It's not cow's milk. It doesn't have the same nutritional profile. So that's why you'll see things like oat milk beverage or almond drink, and not almond milk anymore or coconut milk anymore, because it doesn't match up to cow's milk.
Yeah, that would be a kind of a bummer if you thought you were getting milk this whole time and then it's not really the case.
Right.
Real quick, I didn't leave you a lot of time for the lactose-free milk, but just quickly, is lactose, is it milk?
It is milk, yeah. So lactose-free milk, if it's lactose-free dairy milk, it's milk that comes from cows, has all the nutrition. There's just an added enzyme to help with digestion, so you're not uncomfortable. So you could eat the foods naturally, like cultured milk, that will digest better without lactose. But you could do lactose-free dairy. There's also an emerging type of milk called ultra-filtered milk, which also has the lactase enzyme. So it's good for people with lactose intolerance as well.
I'll just tell you this, that father-in-law made some homemade ice cream with the lactose-free milk in it.
Yeah.
You would never know. You really would never know the difference.
Yep, it's the same thing.
All right, Andrea, thank you so much. I wish we had more time to to talk here, but I appreciate the time, and you can stop by and visit Andrea at one of the Hy-Vees here in the Madison area. Andrea, we'll talk to you later this month.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.